This is Our Eye in the EU, young people's insights on EU affairs through different lenses.
So it was recently announced that the UK is going to be joining Erasmus Plus again, which obviously is quite close to home for me. I lived in London for many years, so it's very exciting. I think quite a win-win situation, both for Europe and for the UK. And it's part of what we might be calling Keir Starmer's kind of EU reset.
It's a very important step for the UK to rejoin the Erasmus Plus plan, as it allows people of all ages to go to Europe and vice versa to the UK to study. This plan, we have to say that it's from 2027 onwards. I think it will be a very good first step for the British to rejoin the broader European family.
The UK is going to have to put a lot of financial effort into rejoining Erasmus. I think we were talking about it before, it will be 500 million, something like that, to join again, which I think is a fair price considering they opted out in the first place. On top of that, I'm hoping it will also be kind of an antidote, perhaps, to the really crazy turn that we've seen the UK take in terms of the far right.
So, there has been a European summit just at the end of April, I think, that has allowed Poland to take a 44 billion loan from the SAFE initiative for the European rearmament. It's a step towards forming a broader European security strategy, and as it seems, Poland is in the forefront of the European strategy for the eastern flank. Of course, reassuring the European stance on the Ukrainian issue.
And I think there's a lot of merit, obviously, into supporting Ukraine, and it has kind of been a uniting force in Europe. And of course, you know, it goes along very well with European values and what Europe should stand for. However, I think every time there's a big discussion on funding military expenditure, funding military defense, whatever it is, it always makes me very cautious, because I think in general, there's so much money that's put into this, whereas it could be going into education, pension schemes, welfare, really anything that would actively help people in a more day-to-day life. And I understand that people feel safer knowing that their money is going to some abstract defense initiative. I just always seem to question why it's such a key thing that Europe is focusing on where.
European values should be at the forefront of our strive for peace in our region, and I think that the SAFE program and the investments in this regard could potentially be party in it.
I think it's interesting when we talk about European values to then perhaps bring identity into it. I mean, I understand that it's a meeting on defense, and of course Ukraine has a very different strategic importance for Europe than, for example, the Middle East, which I know is also discussed in the meeting, or it was also discussed in the meeting. However, the kind of difference or the contrast in reactions to Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine or Israel's genocide in Gaza is so striking, because Europe is quite quick to comment on things that happen in its own backyard. And then the moment we move a little bit further, I think European values dissolve very quickly into thin air. The anti-poverty strategy is essentially a strategy by the Commission that lands in the moment that far-right parties have started to kind of turn this living crisis anger into electoral victory. Essentially, ambitiously declares it's going to eradicate poverty by 2050. But really, from 2021 until 2025, I think we've only seen a drop of 3.4%. So not off to a great start, I'd say.
So I would like to disconnect maybe the European anti-poverty strategy from the rise of the far right. A large part of the anti-poverty strategy of the EU is housing. As we can see in large cities nowadays, people can't even find accommodation. Children are also at the forefront of the strategy by the EU.
Sure. For me, I think the main criticism of the anti-poverty strategy is that it seems to be a lot of toolkits, a lot of recommendations, a lot of consultations, but really no cash.